Hi, guys. Welcome to this edition of Living Waters, our email teaching letter that we're sending out every week. And we're discussing the gifts of the Spirit and the fruit of the Spirit and how they work together. The fourth gift listed is the working of miracles. And the fourth fruit listed in Galatians chapter 5 is long suffering. And it's amazing how these two gifts, how this gift and this fruit work together. It is a wonder to see. You know, gifts. 4 is the number for the world, and working of miracles is what releases your ministry into the world. And it also has to do with long suffering. There is a reality of timing in the things of the Spirit of God that you have to be aware of all the time. And long suffering is that word, long suffering or patience. It's hupomeno. It means to stand firm on the promise until its fulfillment, to stand firm on what God has told you until its fulfillment. Paul was called in Acts chapter 9, but he wasn't separated unto the ministry that God had given him until Acts chapter 13. And there was a period of years in there that Paul had to grow up, that Paul had to mature, that Paul had to overcome his previous teaching and his previous mindsets and his previous prejudices so that he could begin to walk into the ministry that God had given him. In my life, I was called to African ministry in 1978. Some of you are aware of the story, and it's a good story. But I wasn't released into it. I wasn't separated unto it until 1994. And that occurred with a miracle that occurred in a class I was teaching on the gifts of the Spirit in Los Angeles in the fall of 1994. We were doing a class in the Valley on the gifts, the power of the Holy Spirit. And there was a night when we prayed for everybody, and just miracle after miracle after miracle happened that night in the class, where people were healed of things that they had had all their life. And there was a young lady there, a young woman. Her name was Naomi, and she had come from Nairobi, Kenya, where we had when I was called to ministry, African ministry in 1978. I had a vision of going to Nairobi, Kenya, and hadn't done anything about it, because those kind of things you just allow God to either bring it to pass or you chalk it up to pizza or whatever. But you allow the time and the place to be His choosing, not yours, and you simply stay faithful to God. You prepare yourself, you believe God, you grow up, you get the things done in your life that you need to get done, and then God brings it to pass in His time. And sovereignly, completely out of my control, a woman in Los Angeles had invited her mother to come over from Nairobi, Kenya, and to be in my class on the gifts and the power of the Holy Spirit. She arrived 10 minutes late for the first session. She had just gotten off the airplane at LAX, and we still allowed her to be in the session, and was very thankful that she was there. She made a tremendous effort to be there. And that night, during the class, she was healed of diabetes. She was insulin taking diabetic. God just corrected her body chemistry, and she was delivered of that thing. She wound up inviting us to Nairobi in the fall of 1995, almost a year later, And that was the beginning of our ministry to Africa. You see, 4 is the number for the world. And this is the 4th gift listed, the gift of the working of miracles. And it's also the 4th fruit listed. So what launches your ministry out into the world is gifts of healings, but it also, there's a timing issue from the time that, for instance, God calls you to that ministry until he releases you into it. And that involves the great fruit of long suffering. See, you have to have long suffering, and you have to have the gift of working in miracles in order to really launch your ministry out into the world. There's a timing issue involved in all of this. And when we rush out and get ahead of God, then we don't see the fruit that we want to see. In fact, we see more consequences than actual fruit. So we really want to learn how these two gifts, how this gift and this fruit work together to produce the great blessing of God in your life and the lives of others. So enjoy the article. God bless you.